This is going to be a video on why we should all leave Dana Durnford, aka the Nuclear Proctologist, alone. It's because the highest number of views on his channel and the largest number of people who could ever pay attention to this piece of work is 858 subscribers and 1,200 views on a video 4 months ago. It's not worth critiquing anymore. Dana Durnford, like a large number of other people out there, had concerns about nuclear power, nuclear waste, and nuclear accidents. But a small, very specific cottage industry style donation collecting economy group of people on YouTube and on the internet in general, Facebook is the most important place besides YouTube, use this information and disinformation to gain power. Dana Durnford existed for the purpose of convincing people to not go outside and check any fact Dana Durnford produced. There's dozens of YouTube channels like that. They all promote the idea that atomic power is extremely dangerous, and instead of discussing why in a rational way, they create memes and lie to you. Now, I want to point out, here's COP26, Day 5, Fukushima Nuclear Meltdowns. And then it shows Godzilla and King Kong arguing in a video. Anyway, announced 7 months ago, new channel, and he's probably got 5 channels by now. Now, what happened with Dana Durnford? Now, I'm going to point out a couple of things. Dana Durnford will make the assertion that if you go along the west coast of the United States and Canada, that it's been damaged by Fukushima radiation. Period, full stop. And that the entire coastline is dying, and saying otherwise is a lie, and you're one of them. Now, I don't know if you understand this, but this is a recurring theme I'm going to bring up. If somebody says something outrageously untrue, some people will gravitate towards it because they need it to be true, or they don't give a shit if it's true. And I sometimes wonder which one of those groups is the most loud. There's a large number of people who are willing to falsify evidence that the world's coming to an end for religious reasons. They don't care about facts. Reality is not relevant to them, so they're not really credible individuals. Dana Durnford is notorious for just simply saying things that aren't true and having it disproven. But at one point, he got really angry at the Woods Hole Marine Institute, or something like that, scientists. Posted a video calling for the death of scientists who research showed he was wrong when he said that Fukushima radiation was harming the Pacific or destroying it. It wasn't. He's from Powell River at the time. This is 2015, 2016 in Canada. Yes, that guy. Now, over here it said later on, he threatened violence against Jay Cullen of the University of Victoria and Ken, I can't pronounce it, of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute of Massachusetts. Accused them of lying about the damage to the Pacific ecosystem from Fukushima in 2011. He got 3 years probation for threatening to kill someone or asking other people to kill them for him, because Dana Durnford won't get his hands dirty. He's accepted donations to do a supposed fact-finding tour to go to the West Coast, and went out of his way to avoid the entire West Coast except for 2 places that have been damaged by fallout from farm industry chemicals and or an oil spill. And also an area that was affected by virus or bacteria that caused the plants and animals to die. The rest of the West Coast, as it always has been, was full of life, birds everywhere, so he made a claim that all the bugs are dead and all of the birds are dead. There aren't any birds on the West Coast anymore. And he kept saying it. Now, you might see some people criticizing him, like I'm doing now. But why criticize him? He only has 1,200 views. That's what I'm saying now. He may have other channels that may get more views. He may be hiding behind a persona so that you don't look up Dana Durnford and find out that he literally threatened to kill people or had other people threatened on his behalf. And yeah, he was convicted of it, but being Canada, which is supposed to be this place where hurt feelings will get you thrown in prison for 10 years, outright helping people find someone to hurt because they simply contradicted him, resulted in him getting 3 years probation. He also apparently lost one of his YouTube channels because they were death threats. Now, he's part of a group of people. There are several groups I'm talking about, but the group of people that are anti-nuclear power, that are not interested in facts and scream all sorts of crap, they're not the dirty half dozen I referred to. They're yet another dirty half dozen who say horrible things about people and destroy their reputations, don't talk about the subject matter, and try to get your channel taken down for simply pointing out that they misquoted something or outright lied about something. That'll be a trend and a pattern you notice on my channel of me complaining about people like that to do this. This guy gained fame as a quote-unquote activist and an eco-terrorist when he's really just someone, exploiting anyone who watches, because the more outrageously wrong his statements are, the more certain people will glom onto it and become part of a cult-like following. And again, he was accused of and convicted of threatening people or asking other people to harm people. Mr. Durnford, on many occasions, threatened physical violence against scientists and others who focused their attention and expertise to better understand how Fukushima's nuclear disaster has affected the marine environment. Now, I want to point out something. In Fukushima, if you push the definition of a cause by Fukushima, there is one person dead. That's not a person who actually died from Fukushima. But they decided, since it was a horrible tragedy and someone was essentially kind of a hero for trying to help fix things, they would grant them an insurance claim or a state-run insurance claim saying, yeah, the person died as a direct cause of it or whatever, maybe. They didn't die because of Fukushima. Thousands of people died on the day of an earthquake, which people keep forgetting, that killed actual people. But Fukushima's radiation really didn't kill anybody. It's blind luck. Obviously, it should have killed somebody, but it didn't. There wasn't anybody killed by the disaster itself, nor subsequently. And no, Fukushima radiation is not killing everything in the ocean. Now let's go look at another thing, Chernobyl's map. Now, this map talks about 40 curies per square kilometer of cesium-137 here. Cesium-137 has a half-life of about 30 years. Every year it drops by half. That's why it's called a half-life. After 10 half-lives, or 300 years, it would be 1,024 times less dangerous. Unless you're into homeopathy bullshit, it's less dangerous because it's less dangerous. It's not more. And I don't want to hear any of the other arguments. Now, what that means is, right around the Chernobyl plant, here's Pripyat, here's another place I can't pronounce, it's a little U-shaped hunk of ground. Over here in one little spot that's maybe 2 miles across. This thing here, by the way, is nearly 40 miles across by here. And then a lot of the scattered areas over here, these are the areas where there's serious, hardcore contamination. Now, yes, you can peel the dirt back and pile it up somewhere and make it much worse in one spot and try to make up the majority of area being nice, but there is some level all the way down to 15 curies per square kilometer of cesium-137 in all of this area that's pink. Okay, that's Belarus, that's Russia, that's their border. Here's the border between Ukraine and Belarus. These are the areas that are really badly hit. But this whole pink area, you can't plow it under and do much about it. So it's contamination everywhere, but it's, 3 or 4 times worse in here. It's actually much higher than that. But these are the bad areas. And these are still occupied in many ways. This was a lot bad, a lot worse, hundreds of times worse than what happened in Fukushima. And again, people died in Fukushima because of an earthquake and a fucking tsunami. They're ignored by people who are nuclear activists because they have to bring up that the ocean's dying. They have to always gravitate towards doing one specific thing, lying about what happened. It's a pathological behavior. And by the way, there's Kyiv. This is the Hiroshima radiation map. Okay? It talks about dosage, meaning the exposure and what was found in people. And it shows order of drawing, bottom layer, dark gray, unknown dosage. But it's the maximum dosage here. This is where the atom bomb went off. There isn't a map like this for Nagasaki for some reason. Then the red areas here, or pink, excuse me. Let me look here again. Yeah. Pink, excuse me, is below 1 milligray weighted adjusted colon dosage. Purple, right here, is 5 to 100 milligrays. Blue, which is this area here, is 100 to 200. The green is 200 to 500. Yellow is 500 to 1,000 milligrays, or 1 gray of exposure. And orange, which I guess is in here, having a hard time, is 1,000 to 2,000, and then red is over 2,000 or at 2,000. And in the middle here, basically, if you didn't die from it, you probably didn't get exposed to it. It's a weird thing about how atom bombs, when they blow up, do things. Now, anyway, that's an actual map. You may have noticed you can see individual blocks here. That's not a very large area. That's from a fucking atom bomb going off. Chernobyl is not as bad as an atom bomb going off. But yeah, it is, maybe. But Fukushima is nowhere near as bad as these. This was measured at the time in 2011 based on a plume going inland about this far, from here to here. This is what it looks like in 2020. This is checking dirt samples. It blew inland primarily and blew in a cone this way later on, and here is another patch here. Here's a patch here. And the rest of it blew out to sea and got diluted in the water and spread out over such a large area that it has almost no effect. Here's a map comparing 2011 with 2012, or 2021, excuse me. These are projections I'm going to ignore because ignoring projections is a good idea at this point. But again, every 30 years, the cesium-137 should drop by half the intensity. Well, it's been 10 years, and we see it dropping a small amount, but it's a good enough amount that we see a whole channel of area with a lot less radiation or radioactive contamination. It's turning into pockets. Okay, we'll look at the future presumption. It'll stay static at certain levels or certain areas being concentrated until we end up with just, well, where we'd expect, right next to where the accident happened. Again, there's only a listing of one person dying. I know saying only one is mean and terrible sounding, but it is literally one person being dead. One. And that's barracles per kilogram of absorption, exposure, potential damage, etc. And it's nowhere near in the blue or whatever area unless you're right on top of where the accident happened. When you look up a Fukushima radiation map, by the way, that was one, you find what the anti-radiation or anti-atomic power people will put out. Now, I want to point out this. This is me just asking Google and not giving it any parameters. All right, here we go. This is a fake map of radiation because it's not a radiation map. This is a wave height map from the tsunami, which was massively deadly. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just in this screen of that one fake image. Here's another one. That's the 5th one. Nuclear fallout map. That is not real. That did not happen. It is a lie. And this one. Again, this is another simulation for something else, and it isn't what happened. It's not a map of what was tested. That's 6. Okay? 7. That's the same one at an earlier time. Okay? All right. 7 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. A little under half of the images you see when you first look them up show you faked information. Here we go. These are reported. Radioactive nightmare. Faked image. Another faked image. This is just a lot better. Well done. Again, this and this are wave height maps from the tsunami that was lethal. Here's another copy of fake map. This is not radiation. These are a model of tsunami sea surface elevations. This is, again, a radioactive plume conspiracy theory map. Again, not true. Not true again. Not true again. Okay. But we're supposed to forgive that? Fukushima radiation mutations. Bunnies are born on a rather regular basis all over the planet. You just have to go look for them. That are born without ears. They are. It just happens. It's a specific genetic defect. There's also bunnies with long ears. Insects do show mutations, and they are a good indication of mutations being caused by radiation in an area. Okay. Fish very rarely have it. You'll see pictures of fish with sores in them. Those aren't sores caused by radiation. This is called fascination in a daisy. That commonly happens. Yes, and it happens when there's no radiation exposure. There are pictures of daisies doing this from a long time ago. Before the 1800s. They were paintings. This fish was not caused by radiation. Here we go again with a bunny with no ears. This bird has maybe a radiation burn. Or it was an accident caused by radiation. Or it was an infection in the side of its face because it got scratched. This one here could be caused by mutation. Oh, wait a minute. No, that was from Chernobyl. Because it wasn't from Fukushima. Okay, here we go again with the bunnies. Here we go again with fascination. Mutated daisies. No, that wasn't near Fukushima. That's in Los Angeles. Here we see somebody putting up an image that has nothing to do with a fish. Again, another fish. Okay, we're done. When you're fighting people who put up fallacies, you can't win because they can keep lying more creatively. I have a limit on facts I can find, but you falsify shit, you're good. And yes, this guy's invoking King Kong and Godzilla. So yeah, Dana Durnford, who was found guilty of threatening to kill people, who got 3 months fucking 3 years probation, excuse me. Fuck that. Chernobyl map, real shit, really bad stuff, actually had a major effect. Hiroshima, another bad thing, but not as wide-ranging, but we can measure it. Fukushima, having measurable effects that is acknowledged, that nothing's hidden. People lying about it. People lying about it. These are not in the same categories. So anyway, leave Dana Durnford alone. I'm putting a blanket over my head euphemistically. He only gets 1,200 views. He only has 800 subscribers. He doesn't deserve those. And I don't think he's making a living as much as he used to. And yes, he built the public by saying he was doing a fact-finding tour on the West Coast, and he avoided facts like the plague. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good